In this video, we're gonna introduce the usage of a helper function. So let's see, or let me open this. First, we're gonna create a new file. Here on the SRC, we're gonna create a new file that is going to be helper.js. Normally, a helper function is going to be a function that you can reuse, and also is going to add some separation. For example, if you open the app, instead of having a lot of code in your components, you can create a helper file and then import the function that you need. Your code is going to be more organized if you create a helper file. So first, let me open the helper.js, and here I'm going to add export like this, and then function. And we're gonna create a function that is called calculate total, and it takes the amount and also the term. And let me open the braces, and here I'm going to add console log that says hello from the helper. Something like this, something to test that this is working. And then let me open the app.js. First, we need to import the helper. So we need to import the function also. So we're gonna add import. And we need to open the braces, calculate total, and then we're gonna add from. And we're gonna, here where this in the app.js is going to be in the same level. So we're gonna add a dot slash helper. And now this function is going to be available in the component. So for example, right here, let me execute this function like this. So save this, open the project, fill the form, calculate the totals, and now you can see we have hello from the helper. So now we can start adding the code right here. And the component is going to be smaller and easier to maintain because we have these functions and they are going to be separate. And you can create as many functions as you want. Your code is going to be more organized using this approach. So let me remove this because we don't need this anymore. You can see that this function takes the amount and the term. So we're going to pass this right here. So let me copy this. And now we're going to start working in this helper.js. So first, let me add the algorithm that we're going to implement to calculate the interest that the user is going to pay. So first, let me calculate the amount. And also we're gonna calculate the total interest based on the time that it takes to repay, the months to repay. So let me add on the time, and in this case it's going to be on the amount. So let me add amount. So first, let me add a comment right here that says, for example, from 0 to 1,000, the user is going to pay 25% of that amount. Then from $1,001 to $5,000, they are going to pay 20%. From 5,001 to 10,000, the user is going to pay 50%. And finally, from any number that is bigger than 10,000, the user is going to pay 10%. Then for calculate the total interest based on the term or the time that it takes to pay, if they choose 3 months, they are going to pay 5%. If they choose 6 months, they are going to pay 10%. If they take 12 months, then they are going to pay 50%. And finally, if they take 24, well, they are going to pay 20%. And these amounts are going to be, this interest is going to be calculated based on this amount that we have here. So we're going to start with the section on the top. First, let me create a variable. So we're going to add let total amount. And it's going to start empty, like this. And then we're going to use if amount is lower or equals to 1,000, then we're gonna apply this number right here. So the total amount is going to be equals to the amount that we pass right here, multiply it by 0.25. So this is going to return 25% of the total amount. So finally, let me add a return, and let me return the total amount. And since we're returning the value right here, let me open the app.js. And here we need to create a variable, const, we're gonna call this one total, equals to calculate total. And then we're gonna console log the total. So let me console log this. So let me save this, and you can see, for example, we need to pass any number lower than 1000. So let me open this, open the project, and let me add, for example, 500. We're gonna select any number in the months to repay is going to be fine, since we're calculating only this part on the top. So calculate, and now you can see that we have 125. And yes, 125 is the 25% of 500. So let me continue working with this. We're gonna add another else if, and we're gonna add right here the amount if the amount is greater than 1000 and the amount is lower than or equals to 5000. This means that we are going to be in this scenario, which is going to be 20%. So we're gonna calculate this similar to this, paste this right here. You can add 0.2 or 0.20, the result is going to be the same. It doesn't really matter. So now we need to enter a number between these to test the second scenario. So let me open this, let me reload the project, and let me add, for example, 2000. Any number is going to be fine right here, so we can calculate. And now you can see that, for example, the 20% of 2000 is $400. So this is looking nice. Next, we're gonna create another scenario. So let me copy all of these, paste it right here. So next, we're gonna add greater than 5000 and lower than or equals to 10,000. In this case, it's going to be this part. So we're gonna add 0.15. So now we need to enter a number between 5,000 and lower than 10,000. So let me add 8,000, and let me select any term, select this, and now you can see that 50% of this 8,000 is going to be this $1,200. And finally, we're going to add the else statement, and here we're going to add total amount is going to be equals to the amount times 0.10 or 0.1 is going to be fine. So let's add, for example, 50,000 is going to be fine, and calculate. And now you can see we have the 10% of 50,000 is going to be 1,500. So everything in this part is working really nice. I'm gonna cut this since we're gonna start working with the second part of this helper function. So in the next video, we're gonna start working with this part. So let's continue in the next video.